Today on the show, we discuss how manners maketh the man. The fate of healthcare has been kicked down the road until after the 4th of July break, and Funkhouser leaves a nasty Yelp review.
Worst chiropodist ever.
Ooh, chiropodist. Hold on, let me consult my thesaurus.
Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Let's go!
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is a no, and a new future is born!
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, I was thinking this morning, I was trying to remember when it first clicked in my head that manners were a good thing. Do you remember this? Maybe you had it drilled into your head by parents. Maybe you had really strict teachers. But when did you first get the idea that manners were important? I think it's a lot to do with the way you're raised. And I remember the expression, two expressions. Manners are easy, and manners are an easy way of letting another person know you care about their feelings. Manners take a little time. Politeness is not always quick and expedient. Holding the door for someone takes a moment out of your day. But I was thinking about this, and I don't know what your aha moment was. But for me, it started with school lunches when I was a kid, like pre-kindergarten, I think it was, when I had just learned to read enough to read the sign behind the lunch lady that said, "Please and thank you." A simple sign for kids to read. Please and thank you. We would like you to use those words. So I said please when I asked for whatever it was that I was getting in the school lunch line. And when I got it, I said thank you. And that was part of it. And I know my parents contributed to it as well. But I just remember seeing the please and thank you sign behind the lunch ladies. And that was the start of it. Where it really got hammered home, though, I think, was when I went out with my grandfather. My grandfather took me out for ice cream, I think it was. And I held the door for someone as we were going into Friendly's. You ever been to a Friendly's? Oh, man. Friendly's, I think, is mostly something they have in the Northeast. Have a Fribble. Go to Friendly's and have a Fribble. It's like the most incredible milkshake ever. Now, I'm sure there's people that hold other milkshakes in high esteem, but I have some childhood memories attached to this. You would get that like giant milkshake as big as your head in the big, tall, cold metal cup, and it was just the bestie best. But I got taken to Friendly's for a Fribble by my grandfather, and I held the door for someone. And then afterwards, I said thank you. I think I said thank you to the guy after he took my order. And then after my grandfather had taken me out for ice cream, I said thank you to him as well. Not an especially tall order when you've just been handed a delicious ice cream drink. Thank you seems like a natural thing to say, but I remember my grandfather took note of it. He was like, "You're very good about saying thank you, aren't you?" And I was like, I guess. He was like, "That's really good. You should keep that up." And because my grandfather took me out for ice cream and gave me a little high praise when I was a kid, thank you became a part of my vocabulary. Manners became a part of the way I went through life. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's because you're English." And no, it really came from my American grandfather on that one. That's how that got cemented in there. And then I knew some stuff about my American grandfather, too. I suppose as you're a kid, you kind of want to be, you want to be able to handle things. You want to be big. You want to be mature. You want to be tough. You want to be able to handle yourself on the playground. If trouble comes your way, you're not looking for it, but you know how to finish it. And I remembered noticing that about my grandfather. He was very well-mannered, too. He praised when I used any kind of manners. But make no mistake about it, my grandfather was a tough guy. He was a decorated military veteran, a naval aviator that flew in the Second World War. And I knew somewhere in the back of my mind that he'd been in dogfights, that he'd shot people down, that he'd probably killed in the name of our country. Now, this took a bit of a dark twist, but my point is, I knew this man who was so well-mannered and a big guy. My grandfather was probably about 6'4". I knew this man who was so well-mannered and so polite to people and so caring to people, also took no guff. I knew he'd been in some of the craziest situations. I knew that as a decorated military veteran that had been shot down behind enemy lines, this guy wasn't messing around. He could handle anything life threw at him. And I also knew when he pulled down his glasses and looked at you over them that you were to be quiet and you were to listen and you were to do what you were told. And I remembered thinking, manners, yet being tough, being a strong individual, were not mutually exclusive things. Now, why are we thinking about this particular morning? We'll get into that.
Let's start the show.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So like I said, I was thinking this morning about manners. Yours, where'd you get them from? How are they drilled into your young mind? When did you decide it was a good way to go through life? Holding doors, being polite, saying please and thank you. For me, like I said, it was my grandfather who noticed that I said thank you and held the door. And I got high praise for it. And when you get high praise from your grandfather and you're like 4 years old, whatever you just did to earn that praise, you keep it up. So I did. And I've kind of made a habit out of it ever since. It's just anchored in there as a good way to be. But the other thing that made me really take note of this, what my young mind put together, is that my grandfather, this was not a pushover of a man. This was a guy who, like I said, was a decorated military veteran, a naval aviator who'd been shot down behind enemy lines, who had been in dogfights, who'd been in some terrifically tough situations throughout the course of his life and his military career. This was a man who did not take guff from people. This was a man who was physically imposing, probably 6'4", yet I never heard him raise his voice. I heard him lower the tone of his voice. I heard him lower the tone of his voice as he would lower his glasses and look at you over them. And you knew whatever it was he was saying, you were going to pay attention to and you were going to do. There were no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he did it with a sense of authority, never, ever stooping to the level of abusing anybody verbally in any way. I mean, he didn't have to raise his voice. He's huge, like speak softly and carry a big stick. He was the big stick. Nevertheless, my young mind linked up that manners, politeness, these are not qualities that I associate with weakness. These are qualities I associate with strength. And that was an important lesson, and I'm really glad that got hooked up in my young mind. Politeness is a quality to be associated with strength. And I suppose this was on my mind this morning after the internet broke, based on our president of these United States of America and leader of the free world's tweets. When after Morning Joe, I'm sure you've heard or read the tweets at this stage in the game, but President Donald J. Trump said, "I heard poorly rated Morning Joe speak badly of me. Don't watch anymore." Then how come low IQ Crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me? She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no. Now look. We are at a stage in our society where political correctness has run amok to the point of nonsense, to the point of being an obstruction to getting things done. I firmly believe that in my heart of hearts. When you have comedians like Jerry Seinfeld saying, I don't play colleges anymore because I'm just not into the idea of being taken to task over every little thing that I say, which is meant with absolutely no malice whatsoever. I'm not into a bunch of angry college students demanding a safe space and dissecting my jokes to the point where I feel like I can't tell them and no one will enjoy them, and I've neutered the funny out of my show. This is Jerry Seinfeld, not a comedian that works blue, not a comedian that is known for his acerbic tongue in terms of launching personal attacks against people, not a comedian who's known as one of the more dangerous ones out there. My favorite comedian of all time ever. But not, like I said, someone who you would peg as being offensive. If a guy like Jerry Seinfeld is refusing to play colleges because he doesn't want to fall under attack from a bunch of PC flag wavers demanding a safe space, then you know things have gone a little far, in my humble opinion. However, there is this thing about Donald Trump in the run-up to the election. He just speaks his mind. He's not bogged down by political correctness. He even said at one point during the campaign, there is a real problem in this country, and it's called political correctness. We are so afraid to speak the truth because we're worried about offending people, and it's slowing us down. Could not agree more with that statement. But there's a difference between circumventing political correctness and insulting someone. It is possible to be forthright, to be strong, to speak the truth, and remain a gentleman. Manners. Manners are important. The way we treat one another is important. I guess it goes down to this whole thing where we've all decided to take sides and dig ourselves in and declare anybody that doesn't agree with us our sworn enemy that obviously hates America and needs to go. And there is no one side that is more or less guilty of that than the other. It is endemic in our culture, and it just has to stop. We have to be able to disagree with one another and get along. But for the president of these United States of America to launch a personal attack like that, and this is not like the first time he's done it, but I think we had a little bit of a rest from this sort of thing. I'm not going to anger you if you are all in favor of him speaking his mind, if you're all in favor of him just saying what the hell he wants to say. But I will say that for me and many, many others, stooping to that level is a sign of weakness. You're blowing your cool and you're making yourself look like an idiot on a world stage.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
I need a haircut, Funkhouser. I really do. And it's hot. I haven't gotten my yearly haircut in a while. Like about a year. I need to. It's so hot and it's getting in my way and it's in my face and I'm sweating and it's gross and it's disgusting. But, you know, for the first time, I didn't have crazy punk rock hair last time I got a haircut. So there's no like bleach in it. And I was thinking it's probably just about long enough now where I could make a ponytail, cut it off, and give it to Locks of Love. You ever done something like that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
You going to seriously go through with that? You should.
Well, you know, I definitely need a haircut. And in the past, I've wanted to do it. And they're like, no, did you bleach it at one point? I was like, yeah. They're like, yeah, we can't do that. It's Locks of Love. For people that don't know, this is an organization that provides wigs and the like for kids that are going through chemotherapy and wind up losing their hair. So I think it's just about long enough to cut it off. I got to really look at the ends of it and make sure that there's no bleach left in it, no coloring left in it. Here's the thing though. If I do cut it off, apparently did you ever do this, Funkhouser? 90s frosted tips for men. This is apparently a thing. It's making a comeback. And
no, it isn't.
Look, it makes sense. We're all into nostalgia. We had 80s nostalgia for a while. Now, the 90s are far enough away to where, look, classic rock stations are starting to play Pearl Jam. You know what that means, don't you, Funkhouser? Give me an O, give me an L. Guess which direction we're heading in.
You shut your face.
But so, like, I guess as part and parcel of nostalgic things becoming fashionable, frosted tips might be making a comeback. Would you?
311 ticket sales going up. Would I again? I don't know if you know about this, but the first station I worked at was a hip hop station, and I bleached my head, and everyone called me shady, and people to this day still call me shady. So,
oh really?
Yeah, I was into the blonde tips back in the day, but today, yeah, I don't think so, man.
That Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray Vanilla Ice thing, would you?
When it's over, it's over. All right.
Ah, very good. I see what you did there. See, like, it's funny because I used to I would cut all my hair off, bleach my whole head, and start again. That would be the sort of punk rock hairstyling thing that I would go through. It required a bottle of bleach and a pair of scissors. I used to cut my own hair with office scissors or whatever the hell it was that I could find. I think once I hacked off some of my hair that was annoying me with a steak knife. I did not take great care of what was going on the top of my head. And I thought maybe I would do that again. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do that again. Cut all my hair off for locks of love, and then I'll just, have short hair and I'll bleach it. Sort of it's an accepted punk rock thing to do. Always has been, always will be. A bottle of bleach has never gone out of style. The frosted tips thing, now that's a whole different story. And I was pretty sure that was what I was going to do. Then I saw a picture of Guy Fieri, and I was like, uh-oh, wait a second. Like, might I wind up looking like that? Like, is there a because I was just like, maybe I'll do that.
Just remember, that's what he looks like after hair and makeup and lighting.
Because it's one of those things where I was just like, I saw an old picture of myself with bleached hair a little while ago. I was like, oh, cool, I'll just do that. When I cut my hair off, I'll do that. And then I saw a picture of Guy Fieri, and I was like, ooh. What if that's what winds up happening to me? Not disparaging Guy Fieri's personal grooming taste, but that is not for me. But I know the 90s nostalgia trend is on fire right now, but I would have thought that there were at least a few things we could have left in the past.
It's
apparently
on
men,
fire.
Yeah.
Let's use a 90s reference there. It's jumping.
It's jumping? Yo, the 90s rebirth is fat with a PH. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I've got a fat mixtape I made for you with my new, but it wouldn't be a mixtape. I've got a fat mix CD I burned for you with my brand new compact disc burner, man. Oh yeah. Check this out. The shock protection in my Discman means I can actually walk and listen to music at the same time. Now, if I could only find a pocket big enough to hold the thing in. Discman, I got it was such a pain in the ass. If somehow
this
you don't,
might be a little too close because I still use 90s terminology now.
Really?
I'm still using bitchin', and maybe that's 80s, but
bitchin'. I don't know. I don't. I wonder where bitchin' originated from. And there's things that come and go. You know who I found? People on the West Coast. They are more dedicated to holding on to bits of slang that the rest of the world has passed up on a long time ago. Like, only on the West Coast you hear people use the expression gnarly anymore. Or they even shorten it to gnar. Like, if you're surfing, it is not uncommon to hear people in Southern California say, I am shredding the gnar. there's some gnar I have to shred. I'm like, really? We're still doing that? That's very Bill and Ted of you. But mind you, Bill and Ted is now happy nostalgia, but they held on to it. Like, they're like, nope, we're going to hold on to shredding the gnar till it becomes cool again. And I think we're just about there. But if somehow you don't know what these are, it's when men have spiky hair and the tips of each spike are bleach blonde. If you think of how the guys in NSYNC looked in 1999 or how Guy Fieri has looked ever since, that's the thing. Men are actually going to the barbershop and asking them for that, and their barbers are not saying no. Of course, this begs the question, if they really are trendy again, will you get them? And, well, according to a new survey from the unbelievably reliable folks over at BuzzFeed, 11% of men say, yeah, I'll totally frost the old tips. That's a thing that I will be doing. So, Funkhouser, I think you and I should get frosted tips. You first.
I was going to say you first.
Well,
okay.
Well, okay.
Don't test me. I might. One time on the air, I colored my hair. It was supposed to be like camouflage colors, brown, green, and black.
Camo colored hair?
Yeah, I was trying for it, but it turned out a little like cyan, magenta. It was not the right camouflage colors. Did not turn out the way I expected. That was probably the end of my bleaching career.
Like, I've got really long hair now. Like, it's really long. And it's not because I think it's cool. You know what I mean? It's because I haven't had time to get a freaking haircut. And fortunately, low maintenance thing. I get a haircut every 6 to 9 months, whether I need it or not. But I'm at a year now. So, I don't know. It has, like I said, it has nothing to do with any kind of like stylistic decisions. But I'm just like, here I am in desperate need of a haircut with no time to get one.
If you're thinking about spiking your tips, just get a Flowbee. Remember those? The vacuum-powered suck.
Do you have one? When you say remember, you say that like you
I did have
had a
one,
Flowbee.
yeah.
No kidding. That's one of those things, like I heard of them. I never knew anyone actually purchased them. You had a Flowbee? Do you have a picture of yourself?
Hey, I might still have the
Flowbee haircut. No kidding.
Oh, no, it didn't work.
Oh.
Come on. I owned it. I tried it. It did not work. It's... You know, Garth going, whoa, that's a movie trick.
Oh my gosh. All right then. Let's do some news, Funkhouser.
The Queen Elizabeth is getting a $7.7 million raise. £1,000,000 raise?
No, they probably did the math there. Wait, hold on. $7.7 million raise?
Mm-hmm.
The Queen of England.
It doesn't seem a lot for a queen.
Well, you know, let me be the first to say it's nice to see hard work rewarded. What the hell? It's the royal family.
You're still alive. Here's some money.
I didn't realize they got a salary.
No, I didn't either.
I thought that they just had money, like all the money and all the land, and I thought they just kind of lived off of a vast supply of royal money. And I grew up in England. I just knew that they had tons of money, and I knew that they were funded by our taxes, and I thought that seemed not okay. But I didn't know they drew actual salaries. I thought they just had this massive lump of never-ending cash that they just took money out of when they needed to buy stuff. I didn't realize that the Queen got a paycheck. And a lot of people are just like, what? Almost an $8 million raise? Why the hell would the Queen get that? But did you know that the Queen is a record-breaking queen? Maybe this contributed to it. Did you know?
Oh, tell me more.
The Queen is the only monarch to have sat on the throne for over 65 years. Like in the history of monarchs, the Queen is the only monarch to have sat on a throne for over 65 years. So maybe that is something to do with it. If you get extra money for being on a throne for a really long time, after my last trip to Taco Bell, I definitely deserve something. Go on.
The president of Brazil, has been charged with corruption.
Yes, I believe authorities first suspected he was guilty of corruption when they realized he was the president of Brazil. Come on.
Who's next in line?
Go on.
Industry insiders say Kazakhstan is set to become a major tourist destination.
Really?
I'd so go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, of course, a major tourist destination, especially among annoying D-bags who refuse to stop quoting Borat. Guitar is nice.
I learned something about myself today.
Oh, really? Here you were thinking you were keeping the office enthralled with your hilarious impersonation.
I suppose I will not say accent again.
Well, no, because that's different. That's your Vladimir Putin that you use on the radio. I don't think you were going for Borat. The only Borat phrase I know, I don't think I can.
I don't think you can either.
Yeah,
you should just leave it there. Everyone can hear it anyway.
Let me say the last sentence, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Like sleeve of wizard. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? That's why you chortled, not unlike a Kazakhstani schoolboy. Go on.
President Trump supports the Senate health care plan.
Yeah. First coal miners, now the sick. What do we know about the president from these things? He loves to put people in the ground. Look, all jocularity aside, we've spent several days talking about healthcare and the people that you can call if you are concerned. Now, look, you might be well in favor of this new healthcare situation. This new healthcare plan might be a thing that you think is a great idea. I know people, a lot of people that voted for Trump, that are going, oh, crap, this could put me in some very dire straits. And there is a massive backlash against it. All the Democrats are 100% against it. They are, as Trump would say, obstructionists to what he's trying to achieve with health care. Roughly half the Republican Party are also wildly against it. It has been an incredibly divisive thing. TrumpCareToolkit.org. That's TrumpCareToolkit.org. This is a list of contact information, senators and the like, that are on the fence about Trump Care, trying to make up their mind. If you have a strong feeling about this, please participate in our democracy. It's only as good as you are when it comes to making use of things like this. Please call and let them know how you feel about it. TrumpCareToolkit.org. You might be for it, you might be against it, but these are people that are on the fence about it. And I'm going to go out on a limb and guess if you're calling it, you are very concerned about your life or the life of someone you love. Not being able to look after a pre-existing condition seems to be the thing that most of the folks I know that are panicked about it are panicking about. People that need cancer medication, people that without their current health insurance would have to declare bankruptcy or let a child die. We did that story the other day, and it's an eye-opening thing to be sure. But TrumpCareToolkit.org, check it out. Make the call, send the tweet, fire off the email, whatever you got to do to look after yourself in this situation. Because you know what? We probably will wind up with a single-payer system. Obamacare created an expectation of a right to health care. We talked about this. People on the right, like Krauthammer, agree. It's created an expectation of a right to health care, and who knows where it's going to land, and who knows when it's going to land there, but we're probably going to wind up with that. Could take years, though. And Trump promised that you would not be dying in the street. Don't let yourself die in the street. Have your voice heard. Have the voice of the people around you heard. This is important. TrumpCareToolkit.org.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior. Delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD. And can't nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again.
You know, Funkhouser, I've got this friend. Friend of the family.
Yeah.
Not that I have a family, but if I did.
Not that you have friends either, but if you did.
Right, yeah. No, this guy actually is a guy that I would call a friend. He's a doctor that is He's a big muckety-muck in the world of oncology in Houston, and he's also a Trump supporter. And I'd be really curious to talk with a medical professional that supports Donald Trump and see what it is he thinks of the state of our healthcare moving forward. Send me a Post-it note. Remind me to make that happen. I think that would be a super good thing. All right, what else is going on in the world?
Mitch McConnell.
Yes.
He's delaying the vote on the GOP healthcare bill until after the July 4th recess.
Right. Yeah. Like they were hoping to get it done before the July 4th recess, and then it became crystal freaking clear that people were not going to be getting on the same page before that. So he kicked it down the road till after the July 4th vacation. So we'll all have to wait until next year to celebrate our independence from being able to afford a doctor. What else?
President Obama blasted the Republican health care bill on Facebook.
Right. Yeah, sure. And if they don't drop it, you know what else he's going to do? Him and Michelle are going to write tersely worded Post-its and encourage people to hashtag it and retweet it. Yes, go on.
Don't make me tweet. Burger King will stop injecting chickens with antibiotics by the end of 2018.
Oh, well, there you go. That's very important to me as a health-conscious consumer, replied not one single regular Burger King customer.
I wonder what's going to happen. Smaller sandwiches?
You assume that when you're going to a restaurant that prepares fast food, that you're not necessarily getting the primest cuts of beef in that hamburger you just ate. And you're probably not getting the very best example of free-range, naturally fed chicken when you get the old chicken sandwich or chicken nugget or whatever the hell it is. I don't think anyone is deluding themselves that by going to Burger King, they're going to be getting something that's really, really good for them. And this is not a slam on Burger King. If I had to go get a fast food burger, if you had to get a fast food burger, Funkhouser, what would it be?
Boy, that's a tough decision. I always like to change it up. Yesterday I had In-N-Out, so...
That's In-N-Out, like people on the West Coast swear by In-N-Out. In Texas, people swear by Whataburger. When you were in Texas, did you have a Whataburger?
Uh-huh.
Oh, so good. So good. And, like, I do enjoy Jack in the Box every once in a while.
There's Burgerville up in Portland. They're really good. Pacific Northwest.
When I was visiting in the Pacific Northwest, when I went to see my mom over Mother's Day, I passed a burger joint. I just had to go in because there was a really long line, and it was open late.
Was it a Burgerville?
It was not a Burgerville. It was called Dick's Burgers. And I did what locals were lined up to do. I got and ate a bag of Dick's Burgers.
Oh.
They were delicious. I see why there was a line out there, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Did you review the business afterward and
on Yelp? No, yeah. I don't
take
do
a picture of what you ate.
No, I don't do that. Partially because it seems so self-important. It's so weird because I really rely on Yelp reviews for things like if I'm going to a vet or something like that. Well, I want to make sure that I've got a vet with great Yelp reviews. If I'm going to, I don't know, a hotel. If I'm going to book a hotel stay, I'm going to check out the Yelp reviews. Like, I will always look at Yelp and Google reviews and all the reviews that are available to me. But when it comes time to leave a review, unless I've had a really good experience and someone working in there goes, could you please leave me a Yelp review? In which case, I'll do it. But generally speaking, I never go, I'm going to let them know I'm going to let the world know what I think of this place. It seems so self-important to me.
I just did one yesterday, and I never do it. But I had an exceptionally bad time at the oil change place and wanted to tell the world. But then later in the day, I deleted it because someone from the company hit me on Twitter and made it better. So sometimes...
I do. You know what? When I'm having a problem with something, I do tweet, and I tweet. Like I tweeted MLB the other day, because for whatever reason, I couldn't watch the Mets game on my computer. I had Flash installed. It said I didn't have Flash installed. Meanwhile, I'm missing one of the rare games where the Mets are winning, and I'm dying a little bit inside. And so I tweeted them. I'm like, help, what's going on? And they responded, lickety split. And oftentimes, and I'd called MLB before. I'm like, do I need to call someone? And when I was on the phone with someone, they're like, if you've got a conversation going in DMs over Twitter, the person on the other end of the Twitter DM is often in a more elevated position of customer service than we are. So going like if you've got a customer complaint, Twitter seems like a reasonably good, you don't have to go, can I speak to a manager? Because the person that is handling the Twitter feed in a lot of these occasions are managers already. So there you go. Yeah, but I've never felt self-important enough to go, I need to leave a review, which is weird because I really rely on other people's reviews to make my decisions.
You haven't
as
had a
consumer.
bad enough time as a consumer.
I have had a bad enough time.
But not bad enough
Let me remind you, I started a whole blog.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
Coffeeforthemasses.com. Basically, I started a coffee blog. And it was funny. I started a coffee blog just so I could flame this one place where I got horrendous service from a person that was an absolute jerk. I had a little more time on my hands and I was a slightly angrier person. This is going back a few years. But yeah, I started coffeeforthemasses.com, registered and bought a domain name, which I have since let go. But I actually have like 3 or 4 different coffee reviews on coffee on my. I think it's still up on Tumblr. Coffee for the Masses on Tumblr is where I did it. But yeah, I've had bad experiences. Like, I don't just go to Yelp. I registered domain names. And you know what was funny? I put up 2 or 3 reviews of coffee places in Coffee for the Masses. And I was then invited to the opening of several coffee places.
See, it works.
It kind of did. All of a sudden, I was a coffee critic. And it took about, I think, $19.99 a year. Was what it cost me to register the domain name. Yep, true story. And an indicator that at the time I really needed to cut back on the coffee.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
I'm trying to decide if I should read the blog entry from Coffee for the Masses.
I mean, do it. I'll just bleep you.
I can't.
Is it too hot for TV?
Okay, you got to understand, I was in a slightly different, and it's funny because if you go back through the podcasts over the past 4 years, you might find some stuff on there that you go, that was a jerk thing to say, AD. And there was a time when I said some things that I'm maybe not proud of. And a lot of people go, well, why don't you take those podcasts down? And here's the thing. And it's not that I'm not proud of it. I kind of stand by it as a piece of entertainment at the time. But what I've come to realize, oh God, I hate this. I hate this about myself.
Is good.
But I have matured. My entire show, and by the way, I got big ratings doing this. My entire show was yo mama jokes, boobs, and fart jokes as well, for good measure. And I had a grand old time. My ratings were through the roof, and I really, really enjoyed myself. But I found that a lot of people were upset by some of the things I said. And at the time, I was kind of, whatever, if you can't take a joke, blare. And I guess I wanted to be this sort of flame-throwing shock jock type of guy because that's what I grew up listening to and loving. And I hate to admit it, but I think I have matured and evolved to a different place in my life because really, to me, the best part of my day every day is hanging out doing this, being on the radio, sharing music and laughs and conversation with you. And I guess the way I feel good is not It's not dictated by the ratings anymore. Like, I've been number one enough times on enough different stations to where it's cool when it happens. But sometimes in the past, the way I got there was sort of a lowest common denominator sort of way. And I would get enough feedback from people saying, and when people were just chewing me out and being abusive or whatever, I didn't care. That was like water off of a duck's back to me. But when people approached me reasonably and told me that I'd upset them, well, that's really not how I want to go through life. And like I said, it pains me to admit this, but I think I've matured to the point where the end goal for me is really just to, I want to make people feel good. For me, radio was always what I needed it to be. It was company when I needed to be kept company. It was a friendly voice of a person that I knew had my back. And that's what I want to be for you. That's what I am for most people. So all the stuff that's there from my past, I stand by it as a piece of entertainment. I really do. I'm quite proud of some things that I never would say on the air ever again. But I don't take it down because, look, that's part of me. That's part of the journey. But I guess I'm telling you all of this to preface me reading something on the air. Funkhouser, do you have the bleep button ready?
Oh, it's here. It's good. You can fire away, Chief.
I don't know. Okay. All right. This is my review of a coffee place in Houston. The place that gave me the idea for this anti-hipster pro-good coffee blog. You say I don't leave reviews on Yelp because I've never had a bad experience. This is what I've done. My review is as follows. Not telling the snarky loser that made my awful overpriced coffee in Hipsterville that I hope he dies so I can throw his pretentious skinny jeans wearing corpse onto a fire to power a generator that would air condition this slum of a rundown holier than thou organic free trade tastes like hot mud peddling lame ass of a store so that at the very least it could be comfortable while you pay too much for the swill they call coffee is my big regret. I'm sorry, Starbucks. I'll never stray again. Did you get all that, Funkhouser?
I only counted 2, which were conveniently...
I actually left out some words.
Those were really good. Like, the 2 that I counted were great words.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you.
There's only 2, though, right? Just making sure.
I really did edit myself as well. Oh, my God. Here's a good review. You want to hear the review I left while I was in a good mood?
All right.
Found a awesome coffee place today. How? Just look for the place the local hipster Bible gave the worst review and went for that. Delicious food, awesome coffee, friendly staff, comfortable and adequately air-conditioned. I'm home. Hipsters ruin everything, and they should have their access to Yelp revoked or be shot and killed. Either or. Sidebar. The lady behind the counter looked a little perplexed when I told her that I was there to support them, specifically because the local elitist hipster rag gave them a review, and because I hate those I was pointedly doing the opposite of what they advised. I had it built up in my mind that I was going to be the Robin Hood of the underground coffee place, but yeah, she didn't care. Her place was awesome and was doing a ripping trade. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of podcasts only. For what? I did talk about using the corpse of a barista to power a generator to give the place some air conditioning. It's hard to...
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, opening for Chris Rock.
Yeah. Well, see, there you go.
In 1995.
Like I said, I've evolved a scotch. Let's I
want to take that word for word and use it for my review.
There you go. All right, Funkhouser, let's do some more news.
The White House posted the annual congressional picnic, or hosted the annual congressional picnic.
There you go. Hold on, I'm off to start a blog about producers that mispronounce things. All right. They hosted the annual what now? Congressional. Oh, yeah. There was a cotton candy machine, and there was face painting. Or as our president calls it, hair and makeup. Go on.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin.
Adding an entry to my blog as we speak.
He got married over the weekend.
Yeah, he did. Mnuchin cut the cake so he could give bigger slices to the wealthiest 1% of his wedding guests. It was a very nice gesture. Go on.
A new study shows people over the age of 50 can boost their brain power by having frequent sex.
Yeah, I saw this. I heard about this.
Do you think
and if your parents are getting to the age where they're maybe not as sharp as they used to be, where they're slowing down a little bit, bear in mind that there's an easy, fun way to solve that particular problem. Or if maybe you're worried that you're slowing down a little bit, turns out that, yes, people over the age of 50 can boost their brain power by having frequent sex. And you can read more about it in the latest issue of Things I Wish I Hadn't Pictured Monthly. Go on.
A survey found that 75% of Americans say they eat healthy.
Mm-hmm. The other 25%, along with me, could not respond as we were busy loading our plates with our third helping at Golden Corral Buffet.
Now I get it.
Have you ever been into a Golden Corral or someplace like that, some sort of buffet? And what they have is they've got an extensive salad bar. And the prices are kind of, not too crazy and over the top. So what you do is you kid yourself like, well, for the $11 or the $12 or whatever, I'm just going to get like salad bar and a soup. And, there's plenty of healthy things that are on that menu. You just need to eat with a little bit of discipline. 18 pieces of fried chicken later, I always find myself going, I do not have the willpower I give myself credit for having. I'm going to die, and I'm going to die young, and I should avoid these places in general if I wish to spend less of my future waddling and sweating. What else?
Chinese authorities are trying to get children to stop playing with a new crossbow that shoots needles and toothpicks.
Huh.
I want one.
Yeah. Sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
You know what did you ever make a pencil shooter when you were a kid?
No.
Oh my gosh, you get a ruler. You get a little loop of paper at the end of that ruler. You tape that thing down. And that keeps the pencil steady. And then you get a bunch of rubber bands that are strong. And you cut a little notch in the eraser of your pencil. And you put a clothes peg on the other end of it.
It's a lot of work.
It's really not. It takes like 15 seconds. And what you do is you stretch the rubber band back, you put it in the clothes peg, you have the pencil locked in with the clothes peg and the rubber band going through the little loop of paper, and then when you click the clothes peg up, the pencil gets shot at some force and velocity through the pencil shooter. I still have a mark in my right arm, graphite, where the skin healed over it, but me and my friends shot each other with pencil shooters as kids, and I bear a lifelong scar because of it. So this crossbow that shoots needles and toothpicks really, really appeals to the 5-year-old in me. But yeah, Chinese authorities they're trying to get children to stop playing with this new crossbow. In the kid's defense, getting shot while playing with a crossbow is still way less lethal than getting lead poisoning while making iPhones. So, I don't know. Pick your battles. Go on. What else?
Polygamous sect leader Lyle Jeffs was arrested in South Dakota after spending 1 year on the lam.
It's such a weird thing. It is such the idea of polygamy is such a weird thing, and the legality of polygamy. Like, it's illegal to be married to more than one woman. Or to more than one man. But there are several iterations of religions where the guys get to marry multiple women. I've yet to run across anywhere it's popular for women to marry multiple men. Which makes me feel oftentimes this is just an excuse for guys to be able to get out there and do the things that they want to do. And if they disguise it as religion, well, there you go. But what's so weird, this guy had been on the run for a year because he was polygamous. He married multiple women. He believed in marrying multiple women. And he had to go on the run from the law. And I do not understand. I don't for one tiny second understand. And maybe there's some people that are polygamous that it's part of their faith, their religion, their belief system that can help me out with this one. And if you want to contact me, I promise to have this conversation in a non-judgmental way. At ADSXE is where you can tweet me, or you can email me, ad@iheartradio.com. But here's the thing. Why get married? Like, you could just, if you're in a society, if you're part of a culture where there are multiple women that want to be with you and only you, and you can
because religion.
That, why must marriage enter into it if that's going to get you arrested and thrown in jail? It's the strangest thing. I mean, I happen to think that, look, this is my sort of like libertarian side coming out. The whole idea of, gay marriage being allowed. I was just like, why is the government why is love and partnership defined by a piece of paper that you have to ask the government for? Why do you have to pay for a marriage license to go get married? I honestly believe that a big part of the way our democracy works is taking your freedoms from you and then selling them back to you for $25-$30 a time, whether it's a license to drive or a license to get married or whatever. But why does the government have to enter into this at all? That's how I feel about gay marriage and marriage in general. But the idea that knowing that the government does define marriage with this piece of paper, if you've got a bunch of women that are happy to be with you, why do you need to bring the part that's going to get you arrested into it at all? I'm baffled, Funkhouser, and that's enough for today.